Live from the Hub Studios in Atascadero, this is a Clarion Voice. This is Mark Sobowitz with the Clarion Voice. How are you today? Hope you got through the fog. We're here with the Clarion Voice crew with Debbie and Selena. And good morning, Mike. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic, sir. We're gonna talk about what do you value today. And so, if you'd like to send in your comments, please do so. And while we're talking here, and we'll be glad to address the issues that come up. But what do you value most? And I know I value relationships, and the reason why is because we tend to isolate ourselves sometimes, and we don't invest in relationships. And I know it's been a value to me to do that because I have a lot of people that I'm close to and have developed relationships, and they're willing to help me in various aspects of my life. And so, having a good relationship with someone and cherishing that is certainly of value to me. Mike, what do you value most?
My relationship with Jesus Christ.
Okay. That's about as plain as you can get.
That's the short answer.
Yes, sir. No, I mean, I do value the relationship that I have with the Lord Jesus Christ as well, because I think that that's something that people overlook. When you have a relationship with the Lord, He's going to guide you and direct you accordingly. I mean, you have the Lord within you, and He's around you, and He's going to support you in everything that you do. So by acknowledging that and listening to His small voice while He's talking to you, then I think that relationship will develop into something that will benefit you more than anything else, and benefit others because whatever you're talking about will come out of you towards other people. Mike, what do you think is the important aspects of having a relationship with the Lord?
Important aspects. Well, I think first of all, you have to work on your the priority list of your priorities.
Okay.
Right? So I prioritize, like you're saying, relationships is good, but that priority needs to be the Lord first, my wife second, my family third, and then my friends fourth. If you don't do it that way, you tend to well, it kind of goofs things up because it becomes an idol. Like, say if you love your wife more than you love the Lord, that's you would think, oh, that's a good thing, but it God's number one. If I didn't have God, I wouldn't even have my wife. I'll tell you that.
Right,
that's true in my life. I've got a relationship with Kim because my relationship with God is secure. And if your relationship with God is secure, then all your other relationships can't seem to fall in line with that.
Yes, I agree.
And it goes well. Things will go well with you. And that's not even the reason to have a relationship so that things go well. They just seem to, it's like a natural order.
Yes.
And it should be played that way all the time, making decisions by placing, like Kim over other, even ministry. See, ministry is down there with friends to me, because if you place ministry too high, like if I placed it over my kids, if I place ministry over my wife, that's a bad place. You end up getting burned out.
Okay.
Right?
And
so what about you, Mark?
I must say that when it comes to relationships, I think that because of how I'm trying to develop that relationship with the Lord to be even closer, I really think that I have been the beneficiary of that, because a lot of the things that have been happening to me, recently, are as a result of that relationship, because I'm listening to the Lord, and especially in light of the fact that I have now found a new place to live. And I have to tell you the backstory of this, because my new landlord reached out to me through an app called Nextdoor, and she told me the backstory the other day. And the reason that we connected is because she was. I don't know how she is spiritually, or whether or not she has a relationship with the Lord, but somehow or another, the Spirit was speaking to her and saying, "You need to go on this app." She didn't know why, but she listened. She went on the app, and the first thing she saw was my notice about putting out for a new place to live. God has His hands over all this, and my relationship with the Lord is because I'm trusting in Him more so. I have a lot of work to do as far as that goes, but I'm working on it, and I think that I've been the beneficiary of that. And so I agree with what you're saying about having a relationship with the Lord as your priority, because without that, nothing else will fall into place. And I do believe that I think the problem in this world is that the more people are more concerned with acquiring things or wealth or whatever it happens to be, rather than developing relationships. And that's where that isolation part comes in that I was talking about, because ultimately, when you achieve what you think you're supposed to have, then where are you left? You're left empty, because you don't have any relationships with anybody. You've worked so hard to acquire things and to gain wealth and whatever, you lose sight of what's more important to you. And that to me is, I mean, let's face it, the old axiom says that you're not going to have a U-Haul attached to your hearse when you pass. Okay, you're going to, you have to. I mean, it says in uh, Philippians 4:12, I believe, it says, "I know how to abase, and I know how to abound. Everything and in all things, I have learned to both to be full and to be hungry." We're talking about contentment, and that's where the relationships comes in. If you submit yourself to the Lord and you're content with that, knowing that He's going to provide for you, then you have all the wealth in the world, because that's all you need, is to have that contentment with the Lord and letting Him, be in the driver's seat, so to speak. Do you agree with that, Mike? Do you think that that's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as far as acquiring wealth is concerned, and things like
Well,
that, do you?
yeah, it's let's just say yeah, it cannot be a priority because we know the love, and a lot of people get that goofed up. The love of money is
Mhm.
the root of all evil. It's now that's prioritizing money over all things. That's over God. That's over family. That's over um, your marriage. And there are people like that, and they are very wealthy, but they have no relationship with their own family.
Right.
And that was a priority that they chose, and that's it would be better if you kind of did it with your family if you weren't say as successful, but you were able to raise your children and
Hmm.
teach them how to be successful also, because you don't have a relationship with them except for here's another pony, you know.
Yeah.
So you gotta, there's give and take. And I don't say anything bad about anybody that wants to create wealth, but I see a lot of people that are creating wealth for the kingdom, and I think that's a great thing.
Right. There,
You know,
there is a difference as far as having that kind of wealth for the kingdom, and bringing in people into the kingdom, and having them also develop relationships with the Lord. It just seems to me that people are in this day and age are more concerned with self.
Oh yeah, well that's the problem. It's their priority is getting the most views. Their priority is having the most friends, on Facebook or Instagram. I need more, people. I need more to follow me. And then I've seen the most outrageous things about from people that think that they're all that in a bag of chips just because they've got, 10,000 followers,
Mm-hmm.
and their nose goes up and
Right.
it's like, really? You are somebody now because you got 10,000 fake friends, that, that just want to follow your next weird thing you're going to do. I mean, sometimes it's just outrageous. But you're right. That's the more the priority, you know?
The one thing that I'm thinking about is the fact that if you read the book of Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament,
Yeah.
you will see the difference between having material wealth and developing, a relationship with the Lord. Solomon had the opportunity to develop a closer relationship with the Lord because he chose not necessarily wealth at first, but then and then the Lord rewarded him. But the problem is that he got caught up in all sorts of worldly things, and then where did it leave him? The end of Ecclesiastes in the 4th chapter, I believe, talks about all of this was just for nothing. What was he going to give to his children? And I think that that's something that people have to recognize when you are in the midst of acquiring wealth in whatever form it happens to be, whether it be money or followers on Facebook. Where does that leave you at the end? What is your legacy going to be?
Yeah. There's this one person on online who was telling everybody to get up in the morning and, say a mantra about wealth, about money, about, money always follows me, wealth is my friend and all these things. And,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also selling a book about this guy saying, well, if I do the mantra thing, like you say, why would I use your book?
Right, exactly, yeah.
So there's, it's like people that charge for like getting a word of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I've seen that, and
Mm-hmm.
and some websites where you want a word, yeah, it's going to cost you this amount of money to donate. And I love opening up our doors because we prophesy to a lot of people all over the world, but we don't require money. We don't require anything other than your love and your prayers, and that's it. But people, out of the goodness of their heart, will donate. So I'm not gonna hinder their, wanting to bless us, in the ministry.
No, but I think you have to have an open policy. I know that my former pastor at the church that I go to always struggled with having to give a sermon about tithing and money and whether or not you're supposed to give, or what is the standard as far as that goes. And it's between you and God.
You got to be a cheerful giver.
Right.
So if you're not happy about it, then don't do it. Really. But if you're doing it out of well, if you do things out of commitment and not love, that's just a bondage. That's not love.
That's
So,
that's just doing things for the sake of
well, they think it's going to get you a ticket to heaven. And people are like that. I mean, the religions are, you just do this or you just say this prayer and you're in, pal. There's nothing about that which we began this with a relationship. It's nothing about the specific relationship. You need to have people I see that have encounters with God. I mean, like it just knocks them off their horse, so to speak.
Right.
don't ever leave. Don't ever leave them, ever, because they can't. It's like, how can I deny these things that have happened to me? And it becomes that real. People that don't, they'll just keep reading the Bible until it makes sense, and just keep showing up on a Sunday. But that's not a relationship.
No, it
You know?
isn't. It's just done something out of commitment or
Right.
thinking you have to do things. The one thing that I'm thinking of is the fact that some people justify what they do because they think that if they, by a way of works, faith by works, they think that if they do this or they donate millions of dollars to this or that, they're doing what the Lord wants them to do. I mean, there are some people who are legitimately kind and compassionate and do that, because they really have a heart for that particular ministry. But a lot of people justify what they do because they figure, okay, if I do this or that, then you're going to get a ticket to heaven, and that's
Right. That's
not.
that's
Yeah.
the wrong way to go. But
Mhm.
I mean, remember, what did Paul say? He says, "Let me show you my faith by my works."
Right.
So you can't, you have to have both faith and works. You have to, like, well, I believe Jesus Christ saves, but I'm not going to tell anybody.
Yeah.
I'll just keep it to myself. There's
Yeah.
no works in that.
No.
I'll show you my relationship with God by how I treat people, by how I talk to people, how I relate to other people.
Right. Because I think the Lord wants you to reflect in your actions or your speech, or your thoughts to reflect the fruit of the Spirit.
Mhm.
I mean, to be, as it says in Galatians, to be loving and joyful and peaceful and patient and kind and
Right.
good and faithful and under self-control.
Yeah.
That's what he wants you to do, and so there isn't a checklist, so to speak, as far as value is concerned. But as you said earlier, you do have to prioritize your life, and we're always told to place the Lord first, but somehow or another, people don't always do that, and they forget that the Lord is first, and then they regret the fact that they didn't have that kind of relationship. So I just think that people need to recognize that first, and not set up a checklist. Is okay. Well, if I do this and I would do this, then the Lord will reward me. No, that's not the way it works. Um, you just have to put Him first in everything that you do, and develop that relationship, and then everything else will fall into place as it should.
Seek the Lord first. All
Yes.
these things will follow. Right.
Seek first the kingdom of heaven and
Yeah.
His righteousness.
Yeah.
And there you go. I mean, today is Tuesday. That's all I know at this point. And I'm sitting here doing what I love to do every Tuesday morning, doing a clarion voice. And so hopefully this message about what you value resonates with you, and you will give some thought to that. What do you really value in your life? And so I hope that you will consider that,
Well,
and that you will like and share this video, and then also be sure to hit the bell for future
Right.
notifications about what we're doing here on A Clarion Voice. And if you haven't commented this morning, then we welcome your comments on the clarionvoice2020.com, and we will be
Or
glad.
better yet, why don't you just comment on this video?
Well, yes, of course. That's what we would like to do, is to have people comment on the video, and hopefully you'll do that. But if you're not able to, then please email us, and we'll be glad to respond as well. But that's what we want you to do first and foremost. And so I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next week. And this is Mark Sobowitz with A Clarion Voice.
Sorry. What was I supposed to do?